Welcome back to another edition of the Three Stooges Podcast. We're Stooges, our family calls us Stooges. We call each other Stooges, but we take our jobs seriously if we don't always take ourselves seriously. Joe Davidson, longtime Sacramento Bee, Chris Jackson, West Coast Preps, Jordan Georgeson of Gold Country Media. We try to highlight all the good stuff that's going on with high school sports in the CIF, Interscholastic Federation, California Interscholastic Federation. Huge emphasis on Northern California in this section, the Sac Joaquin section. But we will touch on issues out there. Last week we talked about hazing in the Elk Grove Unified School District, Elk Grove High School. Since then, I did a story for the Sacramento Bee on Monterey Trail of the same district with not as much of a hazing, ugly incident as Elk Grove, but still, what are you guys doing? TJ Ewing, the coach, talked about and said our kids need to grow up. We got to get past this stuff. So we kind of touched on that. This week, we're coming off a week where we had quite a few coaches who did not coach. Sudden coaching changes, don't know if they're permanent, how long they're going to be. So let's kick it off with Jordan Georgeson West of Gold Country Media. Big name coach, big name program in Placer County. What do you know?
Jason Adams over at Rocklin, from my understanding, and I haven't heard official word from the school yet, but he will not be coaching this Friday night at the very least. He is on leave from a situation that stemmed from something that happened in a PE class. Said something to a student, supposedly, student didn't like it. That's kind of all I know so far in terms of, what I can confirm. I'm hearing a few different things on the record, off the record, or I guess a few different things off the record about, what exactly it was, but I haven't really been able to pin it down. But I mean, this is one of those situations where I think the intent of what was said was maybe not malicious, but you can't, there's certain things you kind of can't cross that line of like a teacher student type of boundary and whatnot. And I think that kind of is what led to this. Now, I know that knowing Jason Adams over at Rockland, he will be the first to say, you know what, hand up, I made a mistake. I remember when, he was out as the head coach after the COVID season because of a post game incident that stemmed. And he was the first one to say, I made a mistake here. I lost my cool. We all know Jason Adams pretty well. He's a very passionate guy, but is one to sometimes let his emotions kind of show and wear them on his sleeve. And I think that's kind of what happened in this situation. I will know more probably in the next coming days. I think we all know more because it's kind of a weird situation where we're all in the dark. But yeah, that's a big one because I mean, Rockland's already fighting an uphill battle going up against Folsom, and being without your head coach for a second straight game is going to definitely be something that's felt a little bit. And I'm sure Adams wants the situation resolved. I'm sure the players want it resolved. I'm sure the school does. And I'm interested to see how this plays out because, like we mentioned, this isn't the first incident with this program with this coach, but we'll see. We'll see what the school decides to do.
Yeah, no, that's good insight there. And Jason Adams, you're right. He's a very passionate coach, a superb defensive coach. I always remember the 2009 playoffs, section playoffs, where defending CIF state open division champion Grant Pacers were stopped in the goal line stand by Rocklin. That was in 2009. And Rocklin went to the state CIF bowl, went 14-1, and Jason Adams was the defensive coordinator and embraces those memories. And we know coaches get a little hot under the collar, and it's a passionate teaching subject or football and all that. But all right, so meanwhile, Chris Jackson, you were at the Holy Bowl on Saturday night. It was the 54th annual showdown between rivals Christian Brothers Sacramento and Jesuit. Jesuit wins 400th career win since the program started in 1963. Christian Brothers opening drive. There are chants. We want Larry. We want Larry. Who's Larry? What's going on there? And what's the update that you know, the best of your knowledge?
Yeah, Christian Brothers head coach Larry Morla is on paid administration leave. He was not at the Holy Bowl. Originally, had heard that maybe it was just this game he wouldn't coach, but that's up in the air, especially as just talking to more and more people from both sides, from both schools at that game. They didn't know if it was a 1 week thing, a 3 week thing, whatever, but Larry Morla was not at that game, not coaching Christian Brothers. They had John Scriven, an assistant, is their interim head coach right now. He was the one leading the way, and you had the Christian Brothers student section chanting pretty early, we want Larry, but Larry's on paid admin leave, and there is a thought, there is a chance that he might not be at Christian Brothers anymore after this year. His time might be done there. If you go and check social media as well, Larry Morlow's Twitter bio has always had Christian Brothers in it. Christian Brothers is wiped clean from there. There is his, I think his two different college years on there, I want to say, and everything else is scrubbed from there, right? It's, you saw him post on his Instagram story different photos from his time there. I think it was one photo per year, I want to say, these last 5 years. Maybe I'm wrong about how often they were and whatnot, but he wasn't there. There have been frustrations talking to multiple people about the situation at Christian Brothers. If you watch that game, a couple of those top young guys that supposedly, especially talking with people at that game, a couple of Jesuits top young guys had applied to Christian Brothers going into high school. One of them is the nephew of a pretty well-known coach on that campus, supposedly waitlisted, rejected, whatever that word was, did not go to Christian Brothers at Jesuit instead. So a lot of frustrations there, a lot of frustrations in terms of what's happened there, what's gone on, who's been able to get into the school. Some of those kids would have made a difference for Christian Brothers as well. Playing a team like Jesuit that's so freaking big, strong, physical, tenacious, and SFL squad on top of it. You have a couple of those kids, maybe it's a different game right now. That was 2 years ago and they applied, supposedly applied, but a lot of different kind of things percolating into this. And Christian Brothers is without Larry Morlow right now, and that maybe he comes back this week, maybe he comes back next week, maybe he returns in 3 weeks, or maybe he doesn't. There is a chance that he might not return. And Joe, I know you and I have caught up with Morlow a little bit, checking in and everything, and he has said he's on paid admin leave and hoping for the best. He does have a newborn as well. He and his wife just had a newborn, I think born almost a month ago today. I think it was August 16th, August 15th, maybe August 12th, somewhere around then. But that's what's important right now. It stinks for him that he can't coach, but maybe a blessing in disguise to where he can be around his family more and really be around the newborn 24/7, right? That's far more important than coaching some football games, coaching the Holy Bowl, as big as that is. But we don't know what the future looks like at Christian Brothers. We don't know if Larry Morla ever coaches a game there again or not, or heck, if he returns in 24 hours on that campus.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And these are personnel matters. So we can't get people on the record.
Yep.
Coaches are not allowed to speak. Athletic directors really can't speak. And it's unfortunate. And people might think, well, it's just high school football. What's the big deal? Why are these guys getting so excited? It's their world. And it's the world of the teams that they're coaching. And the spirit of a school could really be revved up by the success or the entertainment value of a football program. Wow, that's ridiculous. No, if you go to all these games that we go to, you see so huge student sections and the marching band and the drum line and the cheerleaders and it's a big event for these high school programs. And Larry Morla is a proud alum of Christian Brothers. He's liked coaching there. I covered him last week. They took a tough home loss against Nevada Union, and I think he got a little heated at halftime. When that happens, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I chatted with him afterwards. He knows his team is young, but here's the thing that's interesting to know: high school coaches in this state, certainly in this region, have year-to-year at-will contracts, so they can be let go at any time. And it doesn't mean they're going to get cut loose as a teacher, but as a coach, it's a year-to-year deal. Really, it could be a week-to-week deal. And that's where, these schools step in. And the Antelope Titans just took a 31-0 loss to Placer in a non-league game. Juwan Hurd, the Antelope Titans coach, has been on administrative leave. I've been told by the school this morning that he will return this week. He missed the first 3 games. Tony Fletcher had filled in. They can't give any more details than that. Matt Costa of Del Campo, one of the good-spirited guys, he stepped down on his own the other day. He's pained by his ailing father, who's his rock and his anchor. And so Jeff Remington has taken over. He's going to take over for the rest of the season. Matt Costa stepped down at midseason a few years ago when he was at Pleasant Grove. His marriage collapsed, and he's human and he's very emotional. He disputes any claims that he got fired or is there any kind of inappropriate conduct with barking at teachers or anything or barking at players. You hear all kinds of stuff. So, and he went to social media to set the record straight. And then the Sheldon Huskies of the Oak Grove Unified School District. Troy Burton is their first year coach, and he is on some sort of leave. He did not coach the game of the other night. That was Jason Bumbaka, the athletic director. Hearing all kinds of stuff from parents, don't know how accurate it is. They seem to be on shaky ground. I just thought that, we think we all agree that the dismissal or not renewing Chris Nixon just really sent them in a tailspin. And I got a word out to Jason Bumbaka. He's probably not going to respond. Got a word out to the Oak Grove Unified School District. I don't know if they'll respond. Districts can't stand the media when it comes to this stuff. They just would prefer we just ignore it. Can't just ignore it. We're trying to cover these teams. We don't want to be covering these issues, but we're going to cover these issues and we're going to talk about it here. So that's where we are at the latest. To recap, Jason Adams is not going to coach apparently this week against the Folsom Bulldogs. That's a Sacramento Bee #1 versus #2, also highly ranked for the Gold Country media and certainly West Coast Preps. A coaching change or interim at Antelope with Tony Fletcher coaching for 3 games. Juwan Hurd is back. Don't know what the situation is going to be with Larry Morla at Christian Brothers or Troy Burton at Sheldon. But wow, that's where we are. And it's a big deal for those teams and those schools. And that's always something. That's just really interesting. We know
I
coaching
mean,
is a
what a
tough,
week of
tough
news.
job.
Yeah, what a week
Yeah.
of news we've had in that Rocklin Folsom game. Even weirder when you think of who may or may not be there because Ryder Lyons did not start for Folsom last week, right? He was at the Holy Bowl as well. He was sitting there in the end zone, and there is a boot on that right foot, right leg, right ankle as well. So who knows? He did suit up Friday. It's Ryder Lyons. That kid's going to freaking do everything he can to play, right? There's no doubt about it. He's a gamer. He's tough. Doesn't sound like anything serious, of course, but you got to do what you got to do medically, take care of a kid, make sure everything's okay. But who knows if Ryder Lyons plays as well, too, or if it's Brody Rudnicki, the 3-star freaking phenom quarterback himself. But there are a lot of storylines and a lot of people we might have or we might not have. So that Rocklin Folsom game could look a whole lot different than we thought it would look Saturday, or that we thought it would look going into this season as well.
No, no doubt, no doubt. All right, let's do something, a feel-good twist. We like doing this segment. Game balls. We got a whole chunk load of game balls. We like to give them to schools, small schools, large schools, medium, running backs, stoppers, whatever. Jordan Georgeson, why don't you kick off? We'll do one game ball each. Jordan will do one, Chris will do one, I'll do one, and then we'll go one more time back around.
Yeah, I'll start it off with a game ball to Forest Hill High School and specifically head coach Nick Gleason. Forest Hill is 3-0 for the first time in program history after beating Vacaville Christian 29-26 on Friday night. And Gleason did it while juggling the duties of being a first-time dad. His daughter was born on September 4th, so he's doing late-night feedings and early morning diaper duty while he's drawing up his game plans and, figuring out how to swaddle and also attack a zone defense. But Wildfire's got it done. And I'll tell you this, if you guys haven't seen them yet or haven't checked out 8-Man yet, that's a team to check out because I really think they look like they're going to be contenders. They've got size, they've got speed, the way they attack, the way they can rally. A lot of times in that game, it felt like momentum was going back and forth, and we see high school teams kind of collapse in situations like that. And they, every time without failure, found a way to buckle down. So a shout out to Forest Hill and a specific shout out to Nick Gleason for coaching his alma mater up to the best start in school history.
That's good stuff and good little plug for 8-Man football and Forest Hill up there in the hills in the woods of Placer County up in Auburn area. That's a school that's overcome over the years, whether it's wildfires, their mascot, not their mascot, but real wildfires, and so they endure, and that's an example that without 8-Man football, they might have been on the brink. So, all right, Chris Jackson, you got a game ball.
Yeah, let's go to the Sutter Huskies. Small school football. They had a huge one at Bradshaw Christian on Friday. Sutter won that game 42-21. Or a 14-0 tie ball game at 21-21. They scored the game's final 21 points. But I'll give it to a few of their guys. Their O-line should get a freaking game ball. When you've got a running back run for 205, and that running back, Losi Asiata. We all know that name very well. His older brother, Auckland, is an edge rusher at Fresno State. He was a 3-star at Sutter. Their father played the NFL, and Losi Asiata is their strongest kid in the weight room. Squats almost 500 pounds, power cleans 270, benches, I think, 335. Their strongest kid, and it shows. Run for 205, 4 touchdowns. The O-line was great, but he was a kid breaking tackles, that lower body strength, driving through guys, bouncing off guys. It was a thing of beauty. And then when you've got stoppers on defense like Andrew Barker, 14 tackles, 5 tackles for loss. It's his first year at Sutter. He and his family moved from Oregon because his dad is a pastor. There's now a pastor locally in this area as well. So he's showing out there in defense. And then the great Troy Bowman, so we've talked about, wants to stay at a small school, his hometown, even if other schools have tried. 13 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. I mean, he was a monster. There was one play where he got a TFL on 3rd down. Other side of the line, chases the quarterback down the field, somehow gets him for a 1-yard loss going probably like 40 yards across the field. Kid's unbelievable. That's why he's a 4-star. And the Sutter Huskies are 4-0. And that GEL race, and probably should say that D5 race too, with those Sutter Huskies and those Castle Roble Rams, is going to be one of the most intriguing things to watch these next few months.
Outstanding. All right, I got a couple of, I got a game ball. We've already dropped his name, Brody Rudnicki, Folsom, 5-star prospect and BYU committed. Ryder Lyons is human. He actually hobbled around in the first few games and then sat out. It was the right thing to do against Sacred Heart Cathedral of San Francisco. Came in unbeaten. That's Paul Doherty, the Folsom coach's alma mater. And so here comes Brody, 5 touchdown passes, 49-7 win of Sacred Heart Prep. He's the first one to admit that he's got great targets. Rob Larson, Jamison Powell, but it's such a good system that a quarterback could plug in. And I saw Brody on field level during a scrimmage against Whitney and St. Mary's. And he came over the sideline and it was nice and relaxed. And he pulled off his helmet and he's standing next to Ryder Lyons. And Coach Doherty said, "Well, what'd you think of that?" And I said, "I think there's an open quarterback battle here at Folsom." And they all laughed about it. So they're in good hands with their quarterback depth. And he may, as you said, Chris Jackson, he may play this week. We'll see. But let's go back one more round of game balls. Jordan, who do you got?
I'm going to give this one now to Bear River quarterback Jaden Brock. I'm keeping it with the small schools today. Bear River went and beat Golden Sierra 19-12 Friday night for their homecoming. Jaden Brock, he was 4-6 passing with 13 yards and had a long of 5 yards. Well, you're asking, why is he getting the game ball? Because on the ground, he had 10 carries, 96 yards, and 3 touchdowns, including a 50-yard scamper with about 2 minutes left that turned it from 13-12 to 19-12. And then what does his defense do to thank him? They go and get a goal line stand, force a fumble on the 1-yard line in the final seconds to win that game. Bear River now 3-1, and don't look now, but first-year head coach mixing a lot of new starters and some impressive wins. I don't be shocked to see the Bruins make some noise soon.
Love it. That's good stuff. And we champion the small schools. They played such good football and just makes our whole region that much more deeper. It's not just the Folsoms and the Oak Ridges and Grants. It is all the way down to the Division 5, 6, and 7, and now 8 with 8-man football. Chris Jackson, more game ball action.
I'm going to keep it on the family legacy trend this week. Let's go to Sackeye, the Dragons, right, of Oak Park. That Radcliffe family just does not stop. They've got the sophomore running back, Cordell Radcliffe. He was a starter last year. I think he was all Metro by you, all Sacramento by us. 209 rushing yards and a 51-21 victory over Cosumnes Oaks. Then you had the junior quarterback, started since his freshman year, Laren James Radcliffe. 5 of his completions went for scores. He hit Damari Taylor for 3 of those touchdowns, 141 yards to him. But doesn't matter what the enrollment is at Sackeye out of it. Enrollment, as you've mentioned, Joe, before everybody has maybe dwindled. So compared to what it's been years past, decades past, but do they still have guys that can play football, can play basketball, in these different sports? And that Radcliffe family that's a household name. I think people are going to be talking about in Oak Park and this area for many, 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 many years past their time at this high school.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And we talk about the Grant Pacers as a city school, proud to be a city school. So are the Sackeye Dragons, and that's the oldest school in this region. And yeah, it's Sacramento Charter High School officially, which is about 25 years old. But Sackeye was built the original Sac High in the 1870s or so. So, the toughest athletic facilities anywhere, and I mean gritty tough, where the coaches have to line the field and mow the grass because they don't have a district to take care of it. They're no longer part of the Sac City Unified School District. And so the Dragons appreciate everything they can get. So good call on the Radcliffes. All right, I'm going to go to Inderkum. The Tigers of Natomas beat Destiny Christian in a game I covered the other night for the Sacramento Bee, 31-20. And Brody Cole, younger brother of Ricky Cole, has got all the passing records. He had 3 touchdowns total. He's a quarterback. Wasn't at his best, but he never lost focus and he just hung in there. And I also thought it was I'm going to give 2 game balls to the family fun feud that happened there. So you have Justin Reber, who's the Inderkum coach, and his father is Papa Jim Reber, and he's the Destiny Christian Academy band director. And when he's not running the band there, he goes to his son Justin's football games at Inderkum. And so father and son have always been tight. And Justin Reber was a record-setting receiver in the late 1990s on that Destiny Christian campus when it went by Capital Christian. And so well before the game the other night, Justin stopped by the band room to say hello to his pop. And so a student said, "Hey, you look just like your son." He goes, "No, my son looks just like me." And so they had a great time. It's great sportsmanship. Aaron Garcia, the Destiny Christian coach, is great friends with Justin Reber. So some good sportsmanship with all of that. So there we go. All right, we're gonna do some game balls if we want to say they were just kind of a helmet nod to guys at the upper levels. Before we become college and pro stars, your high school stars. So Jordan, there was a guy from Placer County who ran for a ton of yards, and is he going to get a scholarship? It's hard to get scholarships. Who is it? Where did he wind up, and what did he do that earned your nod?
Yeah, so this is a game ball that we missed last week, and it goes to Nathan Crawford at American River College. Crawford was a star at 12 Bridges, led them to that first 10-0 regular season section championship game where they fell to Casa Roble. I mean, one of the best running back seasons I've seen. He ends up going to American River JUCO ball route. I mean, it's not the flashy route, but just as good a football. Ends up earning the starting third down back position last season. Breaks his collarbone in week 1. Has come out this year and just been fantastic. But against Diablo Valley, he had 25 carries, 254 yards, and 2 touchdowns. There was, I believe it was JUCO Football Frenzy on Instagram, one of the big accounts that follows a lot of that. Named him their National Player of the Week for that. ARC unfortunately lost the game 44-30, but I mean, anytime you're running for 250 plus yards and 2 touchdowns, you can safely tip your hat there and know that you did everything you could to contribute to your team. So a shout out to him and a shout out to him for bouncing back from injury like that. You don't always see that JUCO level. Sometimes kids take that as, if you get a collarbone injury or a major injury at that level, a lot of times kids are like, maybe that's my sign I was done playing. He comes back and ends up really cementing himself as the number one back on a solid program.
Oh, that's great. And nobody wants to go to a JC. They just don't. And then they get there because you could only get so many scholarships. A lot of people think that college is going to offer 50 scholarships. They can't. Maybe up to 25. It's just really hard, and it's harder than ever with the backlog of transfer portal and this and that. We've touched up on that. So that's why a player like Nathan Crawford, your career's not over, and then you get a chance. And these JCs, whether it's Sierra College, Sacramento City College, the Bay Area Bruises or American River College, they pipeline a lot of dudes to the 4-year level. So that's really good to see. All right, Chris Jackson, do you have somebody of note who might have had some JC chops and is still doing some good damage?
I mean, this kind of almost works for me personally as well because he impacted my alma mater in the biggest way in the backyard brawl, right? The legends are made in rivalry games, and somehow Rocklin and the state of West Virginia have emerged, and made something for the ages. Grayson Barnes made a couple of huge catches, 5 catches, almost 60 yards. He had the touchdown catch that sent the backyard brawl into overtime, which West Virginia officially won in overtime. They were down 10 points with 5-6 minutes left. They come back and they win in overtime. The big reason why is because of the kid from Rocklin High School, American River College. And great to see these kinds of things. Thanks for bringing my alma mater a win, but regardless, then he's also the one in my background, right? So there's probably a little bias with this one this week. I will gladly admit that. But Grayson Barnes becoming a backyard brawl legend and doing it for Rich Rodriguez, who was back at his home school after 18 years ago, losing 13-9 to Pitt for a shot at the national title and beating them on 9-13 for his first backyard brawl back. So Grayson Barnes, game ball, and what a family as well, because his cousin is Dylan Amos, the great receiver, 6'3" at 12 Bridges. So I don't know what they're feeding that family, what they're doing, but it rocks, right? Rocklin High School is producing guys, and it goes to show you JUCO ball rocks as well. He went to ARC, became a legend there, Jordan, as you've noted, as you've attested to. I think you're working on something on him this week, and he wants to check that out because he's got a great story, and cool to see our local guys shine. He's done well, and I may as well give a shout out to Kalani McLeod from Vanden High School as well, right? Our NorCal Player of the Year. He's completing, I want to say, almost 80% of his passes at Diablo Valley College, and now he's throwing to a 5-star Jerry Dickey, who was from Valley Christian, went to Oregon. Now he's playing JUCO ball. But those are a couple of guys that I'll keep on the trend of shouting out some of these current JUCO guys and former JUCO guys.
Oh, that's excellent. Here's another name of JUCO note. Johnny Kett, Koett, was an all-metro player at Vista del Lago and at Folsom. All kinds of, he's got size, he's got skill, he's a 3-year starter, 4.0 student, and he's at College of San Mateo, state ranked. Won the state championship 2 of the last 3 years, and he's their starter, and he's played well for an unbeaten team. So there we go. So I've got a couple from the NFL. Cameron Scadaboo. We all remember how great he was at Rio Linda High School. All kinds of NorCal rushing records, Sacramento area rushing records. Led Rio Linda to a state championship in 2018. Thundered his way through Sacramento State. Played at Arizona State. Now is a rookie with the rookie running back with the New York Giants, and he had a powerhouse run that looked just like him. He was number 4 all of his life. Now he's number 44, and he had a touchdown in a loss to the Dallas Cowboys. And then Jake Browning, the most prolific quarterback in the history of high school sports, with 190 or 210 career touchdowns, which is amazing. And so he was a 3-year starter for Folsom, had a 16-0 team in 2014. All-time leading winner for the Washington Huskies. Excuse me. He came off the bench after Joe Burrow got hurt with a toe for the Cincinnati Bengals and wins the game 31-27 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Had a late touchdown run. And then he had a cool moment that's made the national news where he ran over to the sideline and reached up to say hello to his fiancee, Stephanie Niles, who posted on social media that she was ecstatic. So good living for the good Jake Browning. It pays to have a good backup. He is always prepared. He is always ready to go. And it's just another example of, we got locals in the NFL. And the guy who hurt Joe Burrow, not intentionally certainly, was Eric Armstead. He's NFL Man of the Year a couple years ago with the San Francisco 49ers. He's pride of the Elk Grove Unified out of Pleasant Grove High School. So we got dudes, man. We got dudes at small colleges, JUCO, and all the way to the NFL. All right, why don't we do our closing segment where we preview a game? We'll each take a game, and we'll go around this round table once, and we'll do a second game, and we'll preview and pick our own game. All right, so why don't we go with Georgeson, Gold Country Media. Give us a game, size it up, and give us a score.
Yeah, I think the one we mentioned earlier, even though some of those teams may be missing some key pieces, Folsom and Rocklin, top 2 ranked teams in virtually, every ranking right now. The question is going to be kind of who does better shorthanded. I think we mentioned how many D1 scholarships Folsom has on that, and Rocklin has its fair share as well. But I think if there's anyone in the SFL that can knock off Folsom, it's Rocklin, and it helps that it's in Rocklin. But I'm going to go with the Bulldogs. I think Rocklin keeps it close for a bit, but let's say Folsom 42-27.
All right, thank you, Jordan. Chris Jackson, you got a game note?
I'll do the game I'm going to this week in Manteca. East Union against Sierra. East Union 4-0 and just putting up a lot of points. Scored 50+ points every game, including 83 in one, 64 in another. They have a UC Davis commit on the outside, Jackson Fay, I should say, 16 catches, 343 yards, 7 touchdowns. Just kind of dreaming myself of what that Jackson Fake Hayden Pinnock connection might look like next year and years down the line. That is a team you're going to want to watch in East Union. Maybe they start off 5-0 and really get off on the right foot and just the gauntlet that is the Valley Oak League. And then their opponent from in town as well, Sierra, has a 6'6" tight end of its own, AJ Chapman, who's got Eastern Washington and Utah Tech offers. An Ironman, a guy that plays both ways, 3 TFLs, 18 tackles, and he is averaging 17 yards per catch. So some great football everywhere in this section. And these Manteca schools, not just Manteca High, who was a powerhouse, deserves all the love, but East Union, Sierra, both have some guys that are getting looked at by a lot of colleges. And love to see those types of games and those types of schools produce these guys.
What's the score? Who's going to win it?
I'll take East Union in this one. I'll take them by a couple of scores. Let's go. They put up a lot of points. Let's go a 56-38.
Oh, how about that? Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. All right, I'm going to preview the De La Salle Spartans, the nationally renowned juggernaut out of Contra Costa County. De La Salle's playing at Grant in a non-league game on Friday. It took these schools years to get this game on the schedule. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Grant used to say way back when, "Oh, they're ducking us." When you're De La Salle and you're playing national powers across the country, you're not ducking anybody. They played last season and Concord, and De La Salle won, but Grant recovered by winning its third consecutive section championship and its second CIF state championship in 3 years. I'm going to go with De La Salle here because De La Salle is the top ranked team in Northern California with another stout defensive team, superbly coached. They don't miss tackles. Folsom dropped 51 points on Grant in the season opener. Grant has recovered and peeled off a couple nice wins since then, including a last minute 99-yard drive to beat Clovis East. But then after Folsom scored that many points against Grant, they played Sarah, the Bulldogs did, and Sarah down in San Mateo scored 42 in a loss. And then Sarah got shut out by De La Salle. I don't know what it all means. It's just something to throw out there, but I think that's going to be enough momentum defensively wise for De La Salle. I'm going to say low scoring game. I'm going to go 21-17 De La Salle. Jordan, hit us with another game. And Chris Jackson, you follow up, and then I'll cap it.
All right, the other game I've really got my eye on will go from big school to small school. Wheatland and Bear River. These two finished 1-2 in the PVL last season. Wheatland went, I think, 6-1 in league play. Bear River 5-2. This one I think is going to be a really fun game. Up in Lake of the Pines. I think this will be the one to decide that league again this year. Wheatland was the preseason favorites, and I think on paper they've got the better team here, but Bear River just finds this way to rise up to every challenge they've been faced with so far, and they've got the home field advantage. So I'm actually going to go with Bear River in the quote unquote upset, let's say 21-19.
Good, good. Chris Jackson.
Let's go to the SFL. The SFL opener, Jesuit playing at Granite Bay. This was Jesuit's first SFL game last year, a game where they felt they should have won. That was the one that really introduced them of going from the Delta League to just the bruising freaking physicality that is the Sierra Foothill League. They feel ready for it this year. They've won 3 straight ever since that loss to Wood Creek to open the year. They've got a huge offensive line. Duncan Broughton, Joey Ellis are each like 6'5", 300 pounds. Both have Division I opportunities. A sophomore class like Kawana Smith, who has got a San Diego State offer, but can they beat Granite Bay this time? Who's got Isaiah Aney, who's a top rusher, a top tackler, a Sac State commit. And Granite Bay's top receiver is also a Sacramento State commit, Darnell Turner. I love mentioning these guys these last few minutes that are going to be going to our nearby D1 schools because selfishly we can all go in person and watch them just a little bit more, a little bit longer, right? But 2 great coaches, Marlon Blanton, then you got Catalico, Granite Bay, just some of the ultimate gems, good guys, great guys in this business. I'm going to go Granite Bay in this game, but I would not be surprised if Jesuit wins this game as well. I think it goes down to the final possession or two, and I'm seeing a 28-27 ball game.
Great one, great one. I'm going to cover that one for the Sacramento Bee. We're going to have Chris Biederman go check out De La Salle, Grant. I'm going to have my buddy Mark Billingsley check out the Folsom Rocklin game, and I'm going to have another one. Somebody else do Elk Grove versus Franklin Wildcats, an Elk Grove Rumble there. Here's another game now as we cap our game previews. Sierra Foothill League. The Oak Ridge Trojans of El Dorado Hills taking on Del Oro in Loomis. That's going to be a homecoming of sorts for Casey Taylor. He led Del Oro to a whole bunch of championships. He's good friends with Josh Perry. They go golfing, they hang out, they compare stories. Casey Taylor was kind of a confidant of sorts when Dale Oro had an uncharacteristic 2-win season last year. And hang in there and hang in there. Here's Del Oro 3-0. Last time Casey Taylor was there for a game was a couple years ago, and he won his 200th game. Of all places, he did it at Del Oro. I think Oak Ridge is onto something here. A stout line, emerging quarterback, dropped 56 on a really good St. Mary's team. We know how Del Oro is physical and tough. I think this is going to be a smash mouth game. I'm going to go Oak Ridge 24-21 in a good one. And if these SFL games aren't as good as advertised, get your money back. There we go. So,
Hey,
guys,
they may have a right to have us refund them. You know what? I probably shouldn't say this, but they should ask us for refunds if they don't live up to the hype because we're the ones giving them the love.
Well, let
that's
it be known
exactly
that is going
right.
to be coming out of Chris's bank account if that does happen. Just
Hey,
saying.
I
So
did, I did, I did mention it, unfortunately. So you can take Jordan's
That
part to me.
I love it. I love it. Great stuff, guys. As we touched on the sudden change with some high school coaches and so many other things. And there's so many good things about high school sports, but sometimes stuff hits the fan. And we're going to be on it with big picture analysis and insight as much as we can. These are tough stories to do because you can't get anybody to really talk about it, their personnel issues and matters. And, so there we go. So until next week, everybody, we will see everybody soon, and we'll be in regular contact as we usually do. Chris Jackson, Jordan Georgeson, and I'm Joe Davidson, Sacramento Bee. Thank you, everybody. See you out there soon.